Have you ever studied for hours only to feel like nothing actually stuck? Well, listen up. That's not a personal failure, it's a system failure. Your brain is running an obsolete operating system. Today, we're installing a serious upgrade. Okay, so on the left, you've got the hard work OS. This thing is a total resource hog. It just burns through your time and energy with brute force tactics, like rereading, highlighting everything in sight, and of course, last-minute cramming. The output? Pretty low. But on the right, that's the Smart System OS. It's lean, it's efficient, and it runs on 3 core functions: understand, remember, and focus. This is all about working smarter, not harder.
So yeah, it's definitely time to install your upgrade. Think of this explainer as your personal installation wizard. I'm going to walk you through the whole process, step by step, to give your brain a massive performance boost. Ready to install?
All right, here it is. This is the core framework of your new system, the 3-phase learning loop. And this is a continuous cycle, not some checklist you do once and forget about. Each phase actually powers the next one. First, we build a rock-solid understanding. Then, we harden that knowledge into long-term memory. And finally, we optimize our focus to keep the whole system running at peak performance. All right, let's initiate the installation. We're starting with phase 1, build understanding. This is absolutely foundational for your new OS. I mean, if you don't get this right, you're basically building on corrupted code from the get-go. This phase is all about creating a clean, coherent mental model. And our guiding principle for this first phase comes from the physicist Richard Feynman, also known as the Great Explainer. He famously said, "What I cannot create, I do not understand." Just let that sink in. This really gets to the core of true understanding. It's not about just recognizing information. It's about being able to recreate it from scratch. So, how do you do that? Well, here's your system's built-in diagnostic tool, the Feynman Technique. It's a super simple test. Can you explain a concept in really simple terms, as if you're talking to a 5-year-old? If you can't, boom! You've just found a bug in your understanding. See, this technique is brilliant because it doesn't let you hide behind passively rereading. It forces you to confront exactly what you don't know. This leads us to the single most important process for building your understanding: active recall. Now get this straight. Active recall is not a study technique. It is the learning process. It means you close the book, you look away from the screen, and you force your brain to retrieve the information. That little bit of struggle, that's what builds those strong, lasting neural connections. Okay, so once we've built that solid foundation of understanding, it's time to move on. Let's install phase 2, harden memory. Because look, a perfect understanding is totally useless if your system can't retain it, right? This phase is all about converting that understanding into durable, long-term memory. Now, this next part reveals a critical, factory default bug in your brain's hardware. It's called the forgetting curve. Think of your memory like a leaky bucket. The science shows that without actively reinforcing what you learn, that information just drains away. Fast. It's an exponential drop. Your brain is literally designed to forget. So, if forgetting is the default setting, we need a patch. We have to fix this critical system bug. How do we stop the leak? How do we interrupt this natural process of decay and make our learning actually permanent? The patch is a process called the spaced repetition loop, and it's incredibly powerful, but also really simple. You just test yourself using active recall, but at increasing intervals, maybe after 1 day, then after a week, then a month. Every single time you struggle and successfully recall a memory, you are reinforcing that neural pathway, making it stronger and way more resistant to forgetting. And this brings us to a core principle of efficient memory. Pay attention here. The more effortful the retrieval, the stronger the memory. If learning feels easy, you're probably not actually learning, you're just rereading. That's the old, clunky, hard work OS in action. Real learning, it should feel like a mental workout. That effort is the sign that your brain is building stronger, more durable code.
All right, so you've built a solid understanding, you've hardened it into memory. But what if your system has no power? That's where phase 3 comes in. Optimize focus. This is all about managing your most valuable and most limited resource, your attention.
One of the most popular apps for managing focus is the Pomodoro Technique. You've probably heard of it. It's a rigid system, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes off, all dictated by a timer. It's designed to build discipline, but is it the most efficient way to manage your brain's energy? And that brings up a critical system design question. Your brain is a dynamic biological system, not a machine. So, why are we trying to manage it with a rigid, one-size-fits-all timer? Is that really the most efficient process? Let's look at the data from a system diagnostic. A recent study compared the rigid Pomodoro system against a more adaptive, self-regulated approach where people took breaks when they felt they needed them. The results? Crystal clear. The Pomodoro group's motivation and energy levels dropped off a cliff compared to the group that took breaks on their own terms. The takeaway here is pretty straightforward. A rigid, externally regulated system can actually drain your resources faster. An adaptive, self-regulated process is just plain superior for sustained performance. Your brain is a way smarter tool than any kitchen timer. It knows when it needs a break. Trust your internal cues, not some arbitrary number. And just like that, installation complete. You now have a brand new learning operating system installed. Let's just do a final system check before you deploy it. So here it is, your new learning OS. For foundational understanding, you use the Feynman Technique. Test yourself, don't just read. For durable memory, you use the spaced repetition loop. Space out your practice. And for adaptive focus, you use self-regulated breaks. Listen to your brain, not a timer. This is your new reality. You need to stop running that buggy, inefficient code that we call hard work. You now have an operating system built from the ground up for efficiency, not just for effort. It's time to start working smarter. Your upgrade is complete. The new Learning OS is installed and ready to go. The only question left is, are you ready to execute?